There's a version of you that almost never gets sick, not because you're lucky, not because you take more vitamins than everyone else. It's because your immune system is running a completely different program, one shaped by decisions you made years ago without even knowing it. Meanwhile, someone standing right next to you, breathing the same air, touching the same doorknob, catches every cold that goes around the office. Same virus, same exposure, two completely different outcomes. So what actually separates the people who seem immune to everything from the rest of us? Today, we're going inside the human immune system to find out, and the answer is stranger and more within your control than you'd expect. For most of history, getting sick looked random. Some people caught the flu, others didn't, and nobody could say why. Even doctors treated it like a coin flip. But over the last few decades, immunologists have pulled back the curtain on what's really happening inside the body, and it turns out illness isn't random at all. It's the result of an ongoing war fought by an army you never see, using strategy you never notice. Your immune system isn't one thing. It's closer to a small government, border patrol, intelligence agents, special forces, and a memory bank that never forgets an enemy. The skin and mucus are the border patrol, stopping most invaders before they get in. If something slips through, general responders show up first, treating anything unfamiliar as a threat. That's why you get a fever or feel foggy. That's not the sickness attacking you. That's your own body waging war, and you feeling the collateral damage. But here's where it gets interesting. A small percentage of people have an immune system that reacts faster, communicates better between its different branches, and shuts down invaders before symptoms even have a chance to form. Scientists sometimes call this a robust immune response, and for a long time, researchers assumed this was purely genetic, that some people just won the biological lottery. That assumption turned out to be only half true. Think about the last time you got sick alongside a coworker or family member. You probably washed your hands about as often as they did. You probably slept a similar number of hours the night before. And yet one of you spent the week in bed while the other barely noticed a scratchy throat. It's tempting to chalk that up to luck, the way we chalk up almost anything we don't fully understand. But immunologists don't settle for luck as an explanation. They look for mechanisms. And once you start searching for the mechanism behind getting lucky, it stops looking like luck at all. Genetics does matter. Certain gene variants affect how efficiently your immune cells detect and respond to threats, and some people do inherit stronger baseline defenses. But when researchers started studying identical twins, people with virtually the same genetic code, something didn't add up. Twins with matching DNA still ended up with noticeably different immune profiles as adults. Same genes, different outcomes, which meant something else was steering the ship. That something else turned out to be exposure, not the germs you're avoiding, the ones you've already survived. Every virus, bacteria, and irritant you've encountered leaves behind a kind of biological fingerprint. Specialized immune cells remember it, sometimes for decades, ready to respond instantly if that threat ever returns. This is why chickenpox usually only happens once. It's why a flu shot works. Your immune system isn't just reacting in the moment, it's building a library, and the more relevant experience it has, the faster it can respond next time. This idea reshaped how scientists think about childhood illness. There's a theory called the hygiene hypothesis, and it suggests that early, moderate exposure to everyday germs, dirt, animals, other kids, helps train the immune system to respond appropriately instead of overreacting later in life. It's controversial, and researchers are still debating exactly how strong the effect is and how much of it is specifically about microbes versus broader environmental factors. But the basic pattern shows up again and again in the data. Immune systems that face early, low-stakes challenges often end up better calibrated than ones raised in an overly sterile environment. It's a little like a muscle that never gets used. Keep it wrapped up and protected long enough, and when it finally has to work, it doesn't know how. So, exposure builds the library, but having a well-stocked library doesn't matter if the immune system is too exhausted to use it. And that's where the next twist comes in, because it turns out one of the biggest predictors of whether you get sick has almost nothing to do with germs at all. It's sleep. When researchers exposed volunteers to a common cold virus under controlled conditions, the people who slept less than 6 hours a night were dramatically more likely to actually develop the illness than people getting 7 hours or more, even though everyone was exposed to the exact same virus in the exact same dose. Sleep isn't just rest, it's maintenance. During deep sleep, your body produces and releases proteins that help coordinate the immune response, and immune cells become significantly more efficient at identifying threats. Cut that process short night after night, and you're not weakening your immune system in some abstract way. You're actively giving invading pathogens a better chance to win. Stress works the same way, just slower. Short bursts of stress can actually sharpen immune response temporarily. That's why a little pre-deadline adrenaline doesn't usually make you sick. But chronic, ongoing stress, the kind that never fully switches off, the kind tied to a difficult job or a hard season of life, floods the body with cortisol, and over time, cortisol suppresses the very immune signals your body needs to fight things off. That's why people going through prolonged emotional strain often get sick easier and take longer to recover when they do. The immune system, in a sense, is always listening to how safe or threatened your body feels overall, and chronic stress tells it incorrectly that resources are needed elsewhere. Then there's the gut. For years, doctors treated digestion and immunity as separate systems studied by separate specialists. We now know that's completely wrong. The majority of your immune tissue actually lives in and around your digestive tract, and the trillions of bacteria living in your gut are in constant communication with your immune cells, helping regulate how aggressively or how calmly your body responds to threats. A disrupted gut microbiome, often from poor diet, unnecessary antibiotics, or chronic stress, has been linked to a less balanced, less effective immune response. It's not that any single food is a miracle cure. It's that the ecosystem living inside you is quietly training the army stationed throughout your body every single day. Put sleep, stress, and gut health together, and a pattern starts to emerge. The people who never get sick usually aren't running on rare genetics. They're running on consistency. Consistent sleep, manageable stress, steady nutrition, and enough prior exposure to have a well-trained defense system. It's not one dramatic advantage, it's dozens of small ones, compounding quietly, day after day, for years. But there's one more piece to this puzzle, and it might be the most surprising of all. Some people appear resistant not because their immune system fights harder, but because it reacts with precision instead of overreaction. This matters more than people realize, because a huge portion of what makes you feel miserable when you're sick isn't actually caused by the virus itself. It's caused by your own immune response. Inflammation, fever, fatigue, these are your body's weapons, and if they fire too aggressively, you feel worse even against a fairly mild invader. Some research suggests that a portion of what looks like natural immunity to certain illnesses may actually be an immune system that responds proportionately, strong enough to eliminate the threat, but not so extreme that it makes you feel sick in the process. In other words, some of the healthiest-looking people aren't necessarily avoiding germs better. Their bodies are simply handling the fight more efficiently, with less collateral damage. So if there's a single answer to why some people seem to never get sick, it isn't luck, and it isn't some rare genetic gift most of us will never have. It's the cumulative result of a well-trained, well-rested, well-regulated immune system built over years through exposure, calmed by sleep, protected from chronic stress, and supported by a healthy gut. Genetics load the gun, but daily habits pull the trigger, or, in this case, keep it holstered entirely. The immune system was never meant to be perfect. It was meant to be prepared. And the more scientists uncover about how it actually works, the clearer one thing becomes. The people who rarely get sick aren't beating the odds. They're simply the ones who, often without realizing it, have spent years quietly stacking them in their own favor.